What is up, everybody? Happy Friday. We are here with Sweet Travis. We are here with JT, Mr. Sky Pick Hayes. Lovely 10 Gabriel on a Friday night. Ready to get to it. I'm fucking jazzed for this slate. I know we kill on the weekends, and this is just the appetizer for it. So let's get to it. JT, how you doing tonight?
Man, I'm doing good. I had a great day. I flew from Tampa to Miami. I posted a little pic. Hope you guys saw that and liked it if you're following me. And once again, if you're not a member, use code JTHayes15. That's 15% off of your membership. And listen, guys, we learned a couple of things over the last couple of days. We learned that Snyder is on the juice, heavily on the juice. And we learned that as a result of that, he may be making some poor financial decisions. I don't want to go into that. But we learned that. And then I think trying to kind of support him, you know, our girl Meg, who's just fantastic, but yeah, she let it drip that, you know, at a time in her life when things weren't so good, she sold counterfeit jewelry. So it's you never know who you know or how much you know about them. But I'm here. I'm ready to get to it. And one thing that hasn't changed that we always knew, only my code works, and glaucoma still takes the shittiest sky pictures.
Facts. All right, so guys, before we get to Travis, can you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button? We're doing these shows for free. We want to continue to do them for free, so please help us out. Smash the like, smash subscribe. Get over to the site, check us out. All sports, one price. Travis, how we doing? Oh no. Oh no.
All right. Yeah,
no.
I don't know what's going on. So first of all, did you guys see the kickoff of the show? Was there like an error? Did it go through? Because I was lagging. I don't know what was happening, but we're here. Things, I guess, are good. Maybe it was just on my end, but happy to be here. Happy to break it all down with you guys. We got a big 10-game slate, and JT said he's got the Sky pick, right? And I got to show you guys the old Sky. You know, JT wants people to see.
Oh,
so, JT, what did you think of this Sky pick compared to some other ones?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, let's talk about our guy Snyder. Not a good day for him. He's taking pictures of like a dilapidated lot and concrete and trying to call it a sky pick. It's just not. Matty Ice, thank you. Code JTHayes15. These, as you know, go ahead and drop in here what type of clouds these are. Of course, I know what type of clouds they are, but go ahead, drop it in. We'll see if you know what type of clouds they are. And like I said, learned a little bit about people today that quite frankly, a little bit disappointed in our girl Meg here and the knowledge that she shared today. But certainly appreciate the candor, appreciate the honesty. And then Snyder is, like we said, a mess. Glock is, I don't even know what he's doing. We found the best GIF, looks exactly like him. We'll have to share that over the course of the next couple of weeks. And Travis, it looks like you're in shambles to start the show. So me and Kurt are the only ones that have our shit together. We're ready to talk about the slate and forget about everyone else. That's right. JTHayes15. Follow me on Twitter.
I don't disagree with you there, JT. But hey, we'll just keep this thing moving along, right? Just act like nothing happens. Just keep going. But yeah, I'm excited for the slate to break down all the news and the different angles that we got for the slate. So, Kurt, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah. So first, right off the gate, Orlando, Charlotte, both teams defense optional, pretty much. I think you have some pieces that I don't think anyone's quite a priority yet, but I would want to be overweight on some of the Orlando guys as like one-offs if it was me and I'm MMEing, which I am tonight. Travis, what are you doing with the game?
Yeah, Orlando's pretty interesting just because whenever Charlotte is on the slate, right, you have to have some kind of interest, right? You have to be like, hey, Charlotte's on the slate. Who on the other side is intriguing? I think Wendell Carter Jr. is a guy that's not going to pop a ton that I think is a very good play at 6'4", just has upside in a matchup against Charlotte. We know they struggle against big men, so I don't mind him. Cole Anthony's the really interesting one. I notice he's popping a ton. I think it's mainly a price thing in minutes. If you look, 27, 33 minutes the last two games. One of the games he drops 43, other one he drops 9.75. He's so shot dependent, but the matchup is really good. So I understand why he's popping. He's off the bench. We saw a scoring dependent guy like Chris Duarte off the bench have a big game yesterday. Now, that was a 4-game slate. This is a 10-game slate. You can make the argument that Cole Anthony at some ownership might not be the best play on the slate for sure. So I think Cole Anthony's in the conversation, but I'm thinking about it a little bit for sure. Terry Rozier and Kelly Oubre are two of the Hornets I really want to discuss. Terry Rozier is one of those guys that at the price, I'm not dying to get to. I think there's better ways to use my salary. He's a guy that's going to gain some ownership. if you like him, I understand it. I'm not going to talk you out of it, but for me, I think there's better routes to go. That would be my selling point if I was going to. I think Kelly Oubre is not a bad play at his price tag. I like his stealing that he can have. I think the minutes are really safe. And the shot attempts, I mean, he had 24 against Phoenix. I know it was a revenge game, but in this matchup against Orlando, I think he is going to have to be a premier part of the offense going forward right now. So I think Kelly Oubre is in play as a pretty good option. So for me, those are the core four that I'm really looking at from this game. And obviously, again, 10-game slate. It's a good one. There's other plays later on that I like way more, but I'm not going to completely overlook this game.
Yeah, so I agree with I feel like every night one of these Charlotte guys are going to go off. So JT, give us the gold for this game. What is it? The hidden treasure.
Yeah, I think an argument can be made to just forget about this game, to be honest. I think these Orlando guys are popping because they're cheap. You see Cole Anthony, though, 10 for 16 shooting his last game. He's been pretty volatile shooting the ball. I get 4,100 is a good price, but he is a bench guy. This is a team with a deep rotation. Markelle Fultz at 6,100. I think there's some interesting plays a little bit later at or around or maybe a little bit above that price point. I agree with Sweet Travis here on Wendell Carter Jr. He seems to me to be the guy that probably is the safest in this game. On the Charlotte side, they're just a little bit too priced up. I agree again with Sweet Travis that probably one of these guys gets there. But remember, this is a team now that has given up on this season. And we might see some strange rotations. We might see some different things going on here. So at 33% ownership, I think Cole Anthony is a fade for me, given some of the other options here on this slate. And I am interested in Carter. Don't know if I'll get there because for about $1,000 cheaper, maybe $800 cheaper, you're going to have some other options in also really, really good spots, but without that wide rotation that Orlando has been known to play. So I think he's the safest. Don't know if I'm going to get there.
We're coming out the gate spicy with the right to it. We're fading the 33% guy out the gate. I love it. That's how I play. So it gets me jacked. I'm ready to go. I'm gonna kick it right back to you, JT, because I believe in snake drafts and that shit. So how are my Celtics not my Nets, but how are my Celtics versus the Nets looking?
Yeah, I went through this game, and I'll be honest, I didn't write a single name down. I took note of Robert Williams' price at 5,100, Jaylen Brown at 8,700. A little bit interesting, given that he does have some upside, and he's coming off of a poor shooting game, a poor game against the Cavs. The concern I have here is this is a pretty big spread with Brooklyn just kind of being really, really hit and miss in terms of games that they're competitive and games they're not. So last couple, not so good for them. And of course, you do have Boston at full health. So if this game gets out of hand early, then I don't think you're going to see any of those Boston guys other than Robert Williams get there. And just not a ton of interest in these Brooklyn guys at those prices.
Yeah, it feels like a cross off. Jason Tatum off the triple-double last game. Now it's his birthday. Thanks for Gary for relaying that. Just the triple-doubles in the worst matchup. And then doesn't go off the other day without Brown. It makes no sense. But Travis, do you like anything here? Or is it just as unappealing as JT thinks?
No, and I'm still in shambles. If you want to go back and watch, I just spilled coffee all over me while trying to drink it. So, if you guys want a good laugh, go back and watch that. But I do like a good narrative, Gary, but I'm not dying for the Jason Tatum birthday. I'm not like, let me load up because of that. The reason I would want to load up on it more so is because no one is spending up at small forward or power forward really today, right? If you look at the construction, I like to say everyone's building their lineups like this. You should build it like this. Well, you can make the argument that no one's spending up at small forward today. So if you have enough value at some of these positions, maybe you could go and play him. So I do think overall, Tatum is in the conversation as a stud, but the issue I have is I think other studs that I just prefer right now. I do think that this Brooklyn side, there's a couple guys you could be intrigued by. Cam Johnson at 5'5", I think in this role is almost in play on any slate. The problem is the matchup, right? The matchup and the 10-game slate. I think the price he could pay it off, but I'm a little worried about that. Probably not someone I end up getting to, but I understand why he could make the cut. After that, I think Mikal Bridges, you could make a case for him too at that price tag of 7.4. He's someone that has upside, I think, at the price. But again, the matchup, it's not an easy one. Tough defenders on the other end. So for me, Kurt, yes, you could make a case for some of these guys that I mentioned, but I think this is more of a fade game than a play game on a 10-game slate.
I feel that. Okay, guys, we got 306 watching. We only got 100 likes. Please help us out. They're going to kick me off and never let me host again if we don't get that ratio up. Help me out. We need at least half the likes. Bump it up to 150 and let's keep going to the moon.
Yeah, listen, JT, you are the one that makes sure you get the likes out of everyone. I know Kurt's doing his job, but let the people know, yes, it's early, 322. We'll get to 500. We'll gain more people, but let the people know they better start getting the job done early.
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, Jake Swalls missing AP and title. What about the three guys who are here? Jake, I mean, you've been my guy. You've been a fan of the show. You've been a friend of the program, but it's kind of rude. It's kind of rude and kind of hurtful to come in here and say that you're missing other people. That's number one. Number
JT's second problem, right? You don't see me coming in on the Wednesday show and going, why is Big T not on? Understand the schedule, Jake. I mean, are AP and title ever on Fridays? No, they're not. So my feelings are very hurt too. Understand the schedule. Wednesdays you get locks, you get Tambo and title. You know that, right? Mondays you'll see AP. There's certain times that we're on. So get with the program, Jake.
Yeah, and you do the schedule. So, I mean, another reason why you know exactly when the shows are. and look, a couple of things, right, about the likes. Yesterday in Miami. I was in Miami for 3 days. What did I do? I showed up, answered the bell, did the show, gave you, look, I don't want to toot my own horn, gave you the best play of the day, Jordan Poole. And, of course, the tilters in Discord, there were skull emojis in the first quarter. He had 2 fantasy points. What happens? He ends up with a nice, tasty 6X. I cashed every lineup that I played him in. I hope you did too. Today,
you get not 1 but 2 sky picks, right? You gave out 2 sky picks since you've gotten off the show. I just want to throw that out there as well.
I mean, I tweeted a sky pick. I tweeted a sky pick this morning after I got up early. I got on my flight to Tampa. I shared some other funny tweets. I mean, I had a great day, and I'm not being rewarded for it because you're not hitting the like button. You're making me think about putting an extraordinary number to get the plays of the day today, which is a 10-game slate. I think you need a little bit of guidance, but you're asking for other hosts. You're complaining. You're not hitting the like button. I just don't know. I just don't know how I feel right now.
Well, we don't really like the first 2 games. At least you all don't. So let's get into another Biggs verse. We like Biggs versus Charlotte. How about Biggs versus Portland? Travis, Atlanta, Portland, what are we thinking?
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to talk about this situation because they have a new coach, right? It is Quinn Snyder himself, the man that actually made Rudy Gobert look a little bit better. Not to say that Quinn is a master with bigs, but he plays him. He knows how to play him, right? And he's going to give the minutes to those big men, right? Clint Capella at 5'6". Do not sleep on him tonight. I think he's going to get a ton of minutes. He got against Washington. He got 35 minutes. I think Clint Capella is in play in tournaments is a pretty good option. So I like him at the 5.6K price tag. Someone I'm considering for my lineups, someone you should consider for your lineups as well. Trae Young, you can make a really good case for as like a contrarian spend up, and DeJounte Murray, but not guys I'm jamming onto my teams. Just guys I think are kind of intriguing. But I think Clint Capella is my number 1, and I'd say Trae Young is my number 2. On the Hawks side, if you look at the Blazers, I understand wanting to get some exposure to some of these guys, right? If you see Simons is out and you go, I can make a case for Reddish and Thibault. I think there's better value, so they're not options I'm excited about. I am excited about Damian Lillard at 11.6K. I know JT loves himself some Damian Lillard, as he likes to call him, and was famous for the Eiffel Tower play of the day a while back. But man is absolutely in a great spot. Both teams don't play defense. For me, Damian Lillard is one of the better studs on this slate and one that you got to be considering for sure for your lineups.
I like that. Spicy out the gate. We finally got some plays here in a game we like. JT, you feeling the same?
Yeah, I like this game quite a bit here, starting with, of course, Clint Capella, 5,600. It's just a pretty simple misprice there. So I like him. You have to like Damian Lillard, right? We couldn't play him last game because Simons was back. He was going to take away enough of that usage with Dame at 11.9. But Travis is right. He is the godfather of the Eiffel Tower play, the very first one. He got that play to spring into motion. He went nuts that night. I think he's going to have a good game today. The rest of these rotations, on the Atlanta side at least, I'm not sure what to expect. I've heard people talking about Quinn Snyder usually plays his starters pretty long, that they go pretty deep. He's the same type of coach like a Thibodeau, where if you get in that starting lineup, you're going to play quite a bit. But this is a very deep rotation. They do have a lot of talent coming off of the second unit with Kongwu, Bogdanovic, what have you. Myers, by the way, it's the wrong Bogdanovic that's on Atlanta. He did not coach him. That was the other one that's in Detroit. But on the Pistons, power forwards have done a really, really good job, really nice job against the Hawks all season long. And Jeremy Grant becomes kind of that second option, just $7K now. It's been hit and miss. He hasn't been as good as he was earlier in the season. And then, like Travis said, if Cam Reddish gets to start, 4,300, I think he's right that there are probably better values. But I do think that this is a game where I might have 2 to 3 pieces just because of the fact that it could be a nice back and forth.
How about a little Cam Reddish pivot off of Cole Anthony?
Could be if he's starting. Listen, if he's starting, I don't get bogged down by revenge narratives, but he was drafted by the Hawks, had a tough time with some of their coaches, bounced around, seems to maybe like he's kind of found a home in Portland. So if he gets to start, I'd have some mild interest in looking at him. I don't know if I get to him, but I would certainly look at what do I think the outcomes are there.
I like it. Travis, you got anything else on that? If not, we can head on over to Kevin Durant's second game as a Phoenix Sun. Oh, no, God, not again. We're in shambles.
Yeah, I'm definitely in shambles today. I can confirm and admit that. I do think this is a good game to get exposure to, but there are some pretty good late games that we're going to get to and discuss. So I can understand not locking yourself into everything. And JT, good call to get the Sky pick up to get the good mojo.
We need to get the mojo back on track. Just a little bit of a Sky pick for you.
Yeah, just a quick Sky pick for the people. But yeah, overall, good game. And I really like Clint Capella. If we had to pick, and I don't know if we're going to get the plays of the day because the people aren't hitting the likes and I'm in shambles. Clint Capella could make the plays of the day for me. He's a candidate, right? He's on the podium as one of them possibly. So, to find out, hit that like. That way you can see if he's the sweet Travis play of the day.
Hell yeah. So I don't really like much of anything in this game for the Suns. So Travis, you got anything it's almost a cross off for me.
Yeah, Suns are pretty much a cross off for me. It's really hard to roster them with the elevated tags. And then the Bulls, it's pretty simple. You got, as JT likes to call them, Vucevic, you got Levine, and you got DeRozan there. And those three, they cut into each other so much, and you can make the case, could one of them be on the winning lineup with like a 55? Yes, I think one of them could. But do I want to take that risk and embrace the possible floors of one of them? No, I do not want to. There's better plays on this slate. It's not even a guarantee that one of them get that one. So I think overall, this is a pretty easy fade game for me. Wondering what JT's up to, though, here with this one.
JT, what you got?
Just looking at just taking a look at some projections here.
Beverly went off last game, 3-7 still. I'm not going there, but
that's a K Fallick special. He's on Patrick Beverly. Am I not wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
K Fallick has loved him some Patrick Beverly, it seems like, as of late.
Nothing? Cross off?
Talk to me. Which game is this? My apologies.
Suns and Bulls.
Suns and Bulls.
Suns and Bulls. Yeah, I don't see a lot here for me, honestly. Adding Kevin Durant to that rotation is pretty makes a pretty deep rotation. So yeah, I'm probably not going to go here.
Yeah, so another game. We're going right into another one. I mean, on these 10-game slates, guys, you're going to have games where you just X off, especially with these defensive teams that are just priced correctly. This happens on 10 games. But I'll pass over to you again, Travis. Knicks, Miami. Is there anything you're seeing there?
Yeah, Knicks, Miami. It's one of those, like, it's probably a cross-off again, but let's see if the status of Jimmy Butler is updated since I was on the rundown. Because when I was on the rundown, he was still questionable, and he's still questionable. So nothing on the phone, no updates here on what's going on with that situation. So that's going to be key. That's going to help dictate it a little bit and how we handle it. If Jimmy Butler was out, you could make a case at 7.3K. Tyler Hero's usage would be pretty good, right? They're already missing Lowry. It'd be a nice amount of usage for someone like Tyler Hero. I wouldn't hate him. And also, Max Struss would slide in some pretty good minutes if Caleb Martin and Jimmy Butler miss. So I think Max Struss could be in the conversation as well. So that's something to monitor. Bam Adebayo at 8K against the Knicks in that matchup against Mitchell Robinson. I just don't know if that's the way I want to use my salary at the center position. I already feel like we have a guy later on that I'm going to lock myself into at the center spot. So I don't see myself needing that many center options. So I don't think Bam is that great. I think the only guy that would open up on the Heat for me, as some of these guys are out, is Tyler Hero or a Max Struss, who has that guard and forward eligibility. If we keep moving along, go over to the Knicks. Here's the problem with the Knicks. If you told me Julius Randle was 9'7" and Jalen Brunson was 8'6", which they are, I would be like, okay, as studs that are contrarian, they're interesting. If they're playing the Charlotte Hornets, the Indiana Pacers, the Sacramento Kings, the DFS teams that I like to target. They're not, though. They're playing the Miami Heat, not a DFS team that I like to target. They play at a little bit of a slower pace. That's one of the issues there. So I think this is a spot where we stay away from the Knicks. I don't think we need to play them on this slate. Kirk, you mentioned it, 10-game slate. Sometimes you cross some stuff off. I understand the points you can make to play them, but I just think this is the wrong spot to. Again, if they're playing the certain matchups, you'd be interested, and I still think they would be low owned. I don't think if they were playing the Pacers today, I don't think anyone would be playing Jalen Brunson. But they're just not, and I don't think it's a great spot to play these Knicks.
Agreed. I want to add on the Max Strus call. I love it. The Knicks are, I think, dead last in three-pointers made against them. So what does Max Strus do? He chucks it, and his jumper is beautiful. So I'll throw that in there too. I like the Strus call. JT, cross off? Awkward side.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I have some interest in Brunson, but other than that, we'll see if we get the Butler news and it breaks. But other than that, not a whole lot.
Yeah, but that's when I was talking about Strus, it was if Butler is out. So let me be very clear. So JT, I feel like I don't know if you're also in shambles, if you're ready to go, but if you want to take us into the Jazz OKC game, please do.
Yeah. The prices are up here on these Utah guys, so not a ton of interest on those guys. I really can't even get behind Talen Horton-Tucker, so maybe Kelly Olynyk at 5,900. But on the other side with OKC, maybe a little bit of Josh Giddey, but the prices are up here too. And I think these rotations are going to be a little bit wild. So not a ton of interest here.
Well, quick, another cross off. Like I said, 10 games, this stuff happens, especially as news breaks, stuff could change even more so, especially with the OKC game. So be on the lookout for that. Travis, anything initial thoughts?
Yeah, you're on the OKC game, right? You said?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so the OKC game, we should talk about this OKC game because I think it's definitely going to be one that we like. The problem is, how do we play it? That's really where I'm debating because I think there's good plays from this game. And I know we talk a lot of DK. I think FanDuel, this is a game that's going to be a premier game that's pounded onto some teams. If you kind of look, and we'll do FanDuel first, just because I think this matters for FanDuel. It's kind of like the premier game of the FanDuel slate. 4.5K Chris Dunn. He's going to be on a lot of teams. Talen Horton-Tucker over on FanDuel with that guard and forward eligibility at 6.3K. He's getting a lot of exposure. You can spend a lot more salary over on FanDuel, and Lauri Markkanen is only 8.6K over there. I think he's going to be someone that's on a lot of teams. Kelly Olynyk, we know what his upside can be at that 5.8K range. All those guys are going to be in the conversation today for sure. Lou Dort's got a decent price tag in that 5K range. Overall, this is a game that on FanDuel, you're going to have to like a little bit. I think my favorite plays are Chris Dunn and Lauri Markkanen over there. Those would be the two that I'd be keying in on. Kelly Olynyk, I don't like as much. I think there's other ways to rather spend my forward and center positions. Talen Horton-Tucker, I don't hate, but again, I would rather prioritize the other two guys that I mentioned. And Josh Giddey at his price, I just don't need to get there. If you have the salary and I land on him, listen, I don't hate it because it's definitely a good matchup, but not something I'm prioritizing for sure. So for the people in the chat that like to hear some FanDuel takes, you got all the FanDuel takes there for sure. Now let's go over to DK and how we're supposed to handle this spot, because over on DraftKings, this is definitely a game that we do have to consider. The first guy I'll mention, Lou Dort, is 5.5K. Easy guy to slide into on your teams. He's had some frustrating games, but the minutes for the most part have been good, except that one game. And I'm going to give it a little bit of a pass. You see that game where he played 21 minutes. If you open up the game logs, you can see it there. He was chalky that day. A lot of people were frustrated. One reason why he didn't get as many minutes, well, when you're minus 32 on the court and Josh Giddey's minus 29, yeah, you're going to get benched. It's just that simple. You don't deserve to play if in 21 minutes you're minus 32. It's just simple. So that's why he didn't play as much. I think he's safe enough in this spot where I think you can go back to the well, so I don't mind him there. If you look at some of these other options, Walker Kessler at 6'9", has the ability to have a big game, has a pretty good matchup. I don't mind him, but I just don't know if that's how I'm going to use my center salary day. If you want to play him in MME, I think he has the ability to win you a tournament, but not someone I'm prioritizing for my single entry 3-max stuff. I doubt you'll see him too much on that piece of content. Lauri Markkanen, do we want to spend the salary on him? That's going to be a big debate. He's in that 9K range. I just don't think that's how I want to spend my salary with my suds, and he's a very scoring-dependent type of player. One way to kind of judge how to handle Lauri Markkanen versus some of these other studs with the salary tax is look at like the points, assists, and rebounds props, right? Like peripherals really matter for some of these players, and he just doesn't get enough peripherals for me for a stud. So I'm not that excited for Lauri Markkanen here in this matchup. Chris Dunn is an interesting one. He's not going to pop that much on DraftKings compared to some other values, but I think he's a pretty good play. Even at that price tag of 4.3, I think he's at. So I like Chris Dunn. I think he'd be a contrarian option, someone that I'm definitely looking to consider here on the Jazz side of the ball. So, and Josh Giddey's another guy on DraftKings that he's going to pop a little bit, right? He's going to be in the conversation today. But, man, I just don't know if I want to use my salary that way. That's one of my big concerns. I'd be curious to hear your take on how to handle some of these expensive guys and these cheap options. For me, Kurt, I'm really looking at more of the cheap ones than the expensive ones just because I understand the minutes can fluctuate a bit with these teams. And I think spending up for some of these guys might not be the best use of your salary. What do you kind of think?
I actually have a kind of a little bit of surprise play here, and I don't think people are comfortable with it because he's, again, priced up 400 more. I don't think that Jalen Williams is necessarily a cross-off just yet. I know it might be fool's gold, but I watched the kid in college, a non-Power 5 guy, by the way. I think he needs to be like mid-sevens before I really get – and this type of matchup, I think he needs to be mid-sevens before I get him a cross-off from my player pool. So I'll still have some Jalen Williams. I'm not playing Giddey. Like I said, I like Jalen Williams more. I like the price difference, so I'm going with that. Not playing Markkanen, I just can't do it. So it's more of same thing. I'm on the cheapies as well, but I will still have Jalen Williams in the pool.
To be fair, when it comes to Jalen Williams, Kurt, I think you bring up good points at 6'8". The problem is it is a tough tag to stomach, and it's one of those it's easier to ride if you've been playing him. Like, would I be shocked if he was 7'5" in a couple of weeks and he was just playing a ton of minutes and they keep riding him out? No, I would not be surprised at all. But I also wouldn't be surprised if he gives you 20 DK points. He is volatile. You just have to be – it's about what your risk tolerance is. I think that's the key. He's definitely not going to pop in projections that much too, so you're going to have to up him on your end if you're going to be able to get exposure.
And I love that take. I think it is a guy, either you've been riding the last two or you caught him on the last one. I do think it's a guy you keep riding. And if you've not, it's very bad juju to hop on a little late, especially when the price increase comes. So I love that call. And I agree. It's one of those plays where it's not popping. It's a guy in my pool, not a priority play, but a guy I will have on one of my teams. So before we move on, we're almost at the halfway point, or we might be halfway point. I don't know. I'm dyslexic. But breaking moves. Sandro Mablakevishvili has signed with the San Antonio Spurs. Boom. Breaking news. This is March. Seton Hall legend. That's like league-altering stuff right there.
Yeah. And that's my alumni, Kurt. I went to Seton Hall. So there.
No way, dude. That's sick. Hell yeah, I love that.
That's like the only guy in the NBA from Seton Hall, really. So hopefully he can make me proud out there on the court.
Hell yeah, Kadari Richmond maybe if he ever gets a jump shot. But
to be fair, we are probably going to be playing him in April. Like he is probably going to if he's on the Spurs and Pop will play him and he will produce fantasy points. So it will matter, I bet you, in 3-4 weeks. And
then one more thing, guys. I didn't want to pull this card, but with the likes, if you're sitting here watching him not hit the like button, I didn't want to give away the secret. I didn't want to do it. But if you don't hit the like button, it brings bad juju. And you hit the like button, your chances of winning increase 50%. I didn't want to give out the news. They took court chats going off like, what are you doing, Kurt? You just gave away a secret sauce. I'm sorry. You hit that like button. It's good mojo. You start feeling good. You just make the right click every time and you ship. So please, if you're sitting watching, go hit that like button. Help us out. JT, are you ready? Give us the nut play from Memphis, the team of very questionable characters versus the good old boys in Denver.
It's interesting. Interesting. I expect this game to be more competitive than the last time that these two teams played. That was a pretty easy win for the Memphis Grizzlies. So I do like Ja here a little bit at 10-3. KCP's priced down at 4.2. You can always play Joker. Jamal Murray at 7,800. He's been playing really, really well. I don't know if I get there, but I do like some pieces from this game. And then I don't think I'm going to go back to Tillman. I think you can play him at 4,600, but I don't think I will myself. So that's kind of where I am. And then Dylan Brooks, he doesn't do a whole lot, but he is priced down at 4,200. If you needed him as a last guy in, I wouldn't hate it.
Oh, quick and to the point, JT. I like it. I think I got a hot take. Dylan Brooks, shitty ass, outscores Cole Anthony tonight at like quarter of the ownership.
All
I'm
right,
not saying Dylan Brooks is a good play.
I'll wager on that right now. Would you like?
I'm not saying Dylan Brooks is a good play.
Would you like to wager on that? I will take Cole Anthony versus Dylan Brooks.
So here's what we'll do. Give me the odds of what Dylan Brooks is coming in projected ownership. So if it's 30 to 10%,
I will give you 2 to 1, Kurt.
It's got to be the full on ownership difference. So if it's 30 to 10, 3 to 1. Essential.
I don't know what the ownership's going to be. I'll give you 3 to 1.
I'll take it. We'll talk after the show. I like that.
All right. I mean, again, I'm not going to be like meticulously dealing with this too much before lock, but yeah, 3 to 1 is the max I will give you, Kurt.
10 o'clock game, so no worries.
Okay.
What do you got for this one in Denver, Memphis?
Well, Cole Anthony does start early, so that's the other aspect of it. But yeah,
Dylan
Brooks' cheeks. I'm sorry, he's bad. He's not good at basketball. You can have him, but to be fair, Kurt, matchup is good, right? Denver's a team on like the hey, let's target them kind of list, which you could make a case for John Morant. John Morant is definitely interesting at 10.3K as a contrarian stud option. You could play Damian Lillard at like that 12K range or 2K savings almost on Ja. I mean, Ja's, again, the ceiling is pretty big there. So do you think that's interesting? Jokic is in play on almost any slate. The problem is, like, this is one thing I'm going to run into on this slate with the center position. I know we haven't talked about it yet, but Willy Hernangomez is the chalk, and he's a pretty good play here. So overall, I do think that Jokic is going to be harder to get to because when you have a plug and play at the center spot that you feel like is a plug and play, well, now I have only one more roster spot to put him in at. So I think overall it's going to be tougher to get to Jokic, but he is a good spend spot here. So yeah, I do think I'm going to consider Jokic, but he's going to be hard to get to because of Willy Hernangomez. Also, the Nuggets are healthier, right? They got Jamal Murray back. They got Aaron Gordon. Obviously, that's going to hurt. It's going to hurt Jokic a little bit here. And both sides are healthier, right? And I know the one side's been missing Steven Adams, but the price tags have gone up. Like Desmond Bane, for instance. Desmond Bane is 7-8 now, right? I mean, some of these tags keep going up. And that's where it gets a little tougher to roster these guys. So this is not a game that I'm slamming DFS-wise. This is one of those games that I could easily see myself not getting as much exposure to.
I agree. With both teams healthy, it just kind of feels like, So same for me. I don't really love too much here. Let's go ahead and go into the Pelicans Golden State game where we will have some plays. JT, you going Guillermo? You going Hayes? It's the center roulette while Joe Val's out. What are we doing?
Yeah, we'll see who starts. I guess we expect Hernangomez to start. He's going to be very popular, but I do think he's a good play. We saw Mason Plumlee get 40 fantasy points in just 29 minutes last night against this team. So I do I have some interest again in Brandon Ingram. Herb Jones is just 4.1K. I think we see a much more competitive game, obviously, than the game last night, where the Warriors won pretty easily. On the Warriors side, not a lot jumps out to me here. DiVincenzo is going to be pretty popular, but these other guys, the prices are up, in terms of their rotation. So not real sure I'm going to go to any of these Golden State guys, but definitely do have interest in some of the Pelicans guys. They are still pretty reasonably priced. I mean, I guess you could play Klay Thompson at 8,300, but again, it's all about the shot for Klay Thompson.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how they match up here because there's a chance that the Pels could go small, and this chance both teams could go small. So, kind of excited to see how long they do it for and if they even do it. Sweet Travis, what do you think about the center situation? What do you think about them going small? What do you think about DiVincenzo at his ownership?
Yeah, first of all, Murray in the chat saying Westbrook was getting the Rondo treatment. One, that's hurtful. Westbrook is not Rajon Rondo, so don't put Westbrook on Rondo's level. Rondo's a GOAT. But we'll talk about Westbrook as we get there. Westbrook's going to be in the conversation today. Settle down, Westbrook stands. I know you love to discuss them. Let's talk about Willy Hernangomez, like the chalk of the slate, a really good play. And understandable. He started the other day. You assume he starts here too because they're going to have Kevon Looney on the other side. I actually think both sides are going to have a handshake agreement. Like, let's both play big. Now, if they don't, who could be the guy that does play big instead of Willie Hernangomez? I think you could see JTHayes play the 5 a bit, and I think you could see him play the 4 if Big Willie is in there at the 5. I think you could see both. So I think JTHayes is a pretty good play. I think Willie's a pretty good play. You got to like bigs against the Warriors. We saw it last night with Mason Plumlee. He absolutely dominated. I expect these big men to be pretty good. I want exposure to him. Let's talk about Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram at a pretty good price tag right now. He's 8.6K, I believe. Yeah, 8.6K. Like him here in this spot, like his upside in this matchup. I also like CJ McCollum as like a leverage play off him at 7-8. I think both those guys are in the conversation today. And also these wing players, that's the really interesting thing. I don't know how to exactly handle these wing options, but I think they're all intriguing. They're all options that are popping up. And you have to consider what the downside is going to be for these guys. Right now they have how many guys? 2, 4, 6, 8. They got 10 bodies. And with those 10 bodies, 3 of them are Dyson Daniels, Kira Lewis, and Garrett Temple, which means Najee Marshall, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones. They're not guys that I'm exactly trying to take out of the player pool. I think they are guys that might pop up on your teams and you might go, I'm not dying to play Trey Murphy, but would I be surprised if he goes out there at that 4K range and has a 30-point DK game in an up and down pace game against the Warriors where they don't play as much defense and on the second night of a back-to-back? No, I would not be surprised at all. So overall, these Pelicans are going to be really good plays. We got to think about how we definitely play them. I'm not going to load up on 4 on a team, but I want to get exposure. On the opposite side, Klay Thompson playing the second night of a back-to-back. One thing I'll call out, I don't think these guys randomly sit, but I do think Steve Kerr will manage the minutes if the game is going a certain way. Let's say they're down 20 early. He could easily pull Klay quick. Or let's say on the flip side, they're up 15 in the fourth quarter with 8 minutes left. Let Ty Jerome cook, right? You know what I mean? If he's playing well, I could just see him tinker with some minutes where it could have me a little cautious on Warriors. Not saying it's going to happen, but I already don't see them popping up a ton in the optimizer. They're not really these low-owned plays that I'm looking to get to. I think there's better low-owned studs that I'd rather play on that Warriors side. If I did play any Warriors, it's Kevon Looney at that 5K range. I just think that they could go a little bit bigger. Maybe it's a DiVincenzo. I could see him having an upside game, but I don't really want to play these studs on the Warriors side. It's mainly focusing on maybe some of these Warriors values. And the key thing is how do I handle the front court of the Pelicans, and how do I handle some of these other wing players that they got, including Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum as studs?
I love that you brought up the wing situation because I feel like Herb Jones playing his idol basically, and his he's the equate version of Draymond Green. So I love that. Maybe he gets up for that game. And I really think the Trey Murphy call is chef's kiss. Got up 10 threes last game. The guy is long, versatile.
And they're missing Josh Richardson, right? Remember when we had Josh Richardson, when he joined the lineup, he messed everything up with that group. Now they're going to be back in this game. It's going to be a good spot for them. So again, I don't think this is a game to say, give me Hayes, Hernangomez, Ingram, and Murphy, right? It's not a load the boat on, but I think you want exposure to it. I don't think you want to ignore it at all. When you build out your lineups, you're likely going to have some Pelicans today.
Yep, I like that. I wouldn't mind, honestly, having one of the bigs and then one of the wings. I wouldn't hate, especially for value. I wouldn't mind that. And then that could be just cut it off right there. So, JT, talk to us about Westbrook's shitty ass. Talk to us about the Clippers in Sacramento.
Yeah, so Kawhi's going to be out. Zubac is questionable, probably going to come down to a game-time decision like they always do now. And Marcus Morris is out. So definitely some interest in Paul George at 8,300 in this matchup. I know his minutes are supposedly being monitored, but I don't know exactly what that means. We saw in the overtime game where he played 40 minutes. So Westbrook at 7,100, I think, is a question because there's going to be not as much ownership as maybe would have been there a month ago. So I don't think that he's a terrible play. We'll see who the other starter is because you've got some, like I said, some people out here. So Terrence Mann at 4K is interesting. And then we have news on the Sacramento side with De'Aaron Fox being questionable with a game time decision because of his wrist. So If he misses again, we're going to look to guys like Sabonis.
He's in.
Fox is in?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I do think Harrison Barnes at 4,600 is still a little bit too cheap. It's always a bit of a risk. You could get absolutely nothing from Harrison Barnes. I don't think you're going to get the 47 that he gave us last game again, but I do think at 4,600, he's in play. Can't say that I like him more than some of those Pelicans players that Travis was mentioning.
Gary's in the chat giving away my play of the day. Love that call, Gary. Travis, what do you think about the Clippers situation now? They got Powell out, they got Morris out, Zubac might be out. A lot of these like side pieces are out. It got to make you like George, and I know you're gonna love Westbrook. Just kidding. Who you like?
Yeah. Before we go to that game, I wanna ask if the host is in shambles. JT, did you touch on the Pelicans game?
I did.
He had it first.
You did? Okay, then I'm in shambles. I thought you missed that. So I called you out and I said either I'm going to look like more of an idiot or Kurt's going to look like an idiot. So
no, wait. What's funny is like in my head, I was thinking about that. Did he talk about that?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with he did.
Well, it's okay. I just want to. I don't know. I feel like I didn't hear JT Teal talk too much.
He's been talking quick. He's been like short and sweet and efficient. He must have a hot date tonight or something, man.
Yeah, he must have been quick with it. But and Daniel, don't be surprised that I forgot something. It's okay. It happens. And I figured I'm this far down, right, making mistakes. Let's keep going, right? Let's keep digging the hole. I'm either trying to take Kurt with me or I'm not. But and I agree with Marquis. Smash that like. I mean, we're 500 watching, 261 likes. We got to get more out there. We got to get more up so we can give out those plays of the day. But yeah, let's talk about the Clippers spot. Obviously, going to be a game that we have to look at. So De'Aaron Fox got ruled in, so that was kind of big news because if he got ruled out, that would open up some situations with the guards. I think Fox definitely helps with that. I do think Kevin Huerter is still in play on the Kings side. I just think that price is too cheap for a guy in this matchup. I know he's had some struggles, but I don't think it's the worst idea. Sabonis at 10-1, I don't need to get to. It's really more so looking at this Clippers side of the ball. Now, I know people are going to say they think Russell Westbrook's a lock and he's a really good player. Here's the thing. Paul George is in. If Paul George is out, I would consider Russell Westbrook, and I still don't think he'd be a lock because, again, he's 7.1K. On a 4-game slate yesterday, JT, remember we played a 4-game slate. You and I were on the show. Everyone thought Miles Turner was a lock. Wouldn't you agree, JT?
Yep. They like Miles Turner a lot.
How'd the lock do?
He didn't do well. He didn't do
as great as you think. Now, did he bury your lineups? No, 31 or 32 is fine, but he wasn't the lock. Just he's on the optimal. What?
2 rebounds. He had 2 rebounds.
Yeah, and you know what? He got lucky with those. He got lucky with those stocks. I'll tell you that. So, point being, I don't think Russell Westbrook is this lock. I think the thing that people make a lot of mistakes on is these 7K guys at times. They still have to do a lot at their price to get there, and people just assume, well, this guy's out there, a great play. Josh Giddey. Absolute stone lock for 2 slates, right? And then what's he do? Minutes are tinkered with and doesn't do well. And Butto Jenkins, listen, if I would have played Miles Turner yesterday on my main team and not pivoted, I would have done better. You know why? Because I had Jeremy Sochan on that team. And then I would have had Chris Duarte, but I actually made a pivot to someone else. But the point I'm getting at, Butho, is Russell Westbrook is not a lock. He's not. And if you think he's a lock, set a line for me, and maybe I'll wager the under. Let's see what line you guys think. If you had to set a line for Russell Westbrook's fantasy points tonight, what would you set the line at? This isn't me slandering Russell Westbrook and everything like that. Point I'm getting at is at 7-1, you have to do a lot at your price tag to get there. It's just simple. I don't think people understand that. And they assume, well, this guy's out. He should be able to do well. They still have Mason Plumlee. They still have Paul George. They still have guys that can get the job done. Look at Rubio in the chat. 21.5. Rubio, set a better line. Come on. What are you? This is
21.5.
21.5 fantasy points. Come on. Your Uncle T out there trying to get the best line out there.
That was 0 field goal. It's 0. Take away his field goals, he'll probably still get 21.5.
Yeah.
Just hope he has like 6 points.
Yeah. So anyways, and CH asked, his girlfriend asked why this guy is screaming at the camera. You can tell your girlfriend it's because everyone thinks Russell Westbrook is good and he's not. He's not. But we have to like him DFS wise a little bit at 7.1K. I think there's other options to really consider too. Mason Plumlee. I mean, if you have no Zubac there tonight at 5K in a matchup against Sabonis, I think it's a pretty good spot. I think you have to like him for sure. Eric Gordon has an appealing tag, but I think there's other values I maybe rather prefer, like some of these Pelicans wing options. Paul George at 8-3 is another interesting one to talk about. Obviously busted last night in a pretty good spot. He's one of those studs at 8-3 that projects well, but we understand the floor can be low for him. But he does get a great matchup against the Sacramento Kings. I think you have to like Paul George a little bit. I like Paul George in this spot, and I think I like him a little more than Russell Westbrook here at that price tag at 8.3K.
Yeah, I mean, no, I feel like no one's going to play both, and it's not a direct leverage play, but like if Westbrook is coming a lot higher end, which I'm sure he is, then just pivoting to pivoting to George is honestly kind of elite. I like that. Assuming he's in. JT, do you have one last thing to add on this game?
Yeah, I'll ask Travis to talk about this aspect of this too, because you've got no Kawhi. I mean, the way Russ looked last night, it was some of the worst basketball I've seen in quite a long time. And they get waxed by the Warriors. What do you think about the chances that they get waxed here by the Kings and none of these pieces pay off?
Yeah, I think the beam could be lit tonight, as Spread Astaire would like to say. The beam will be lit in Sacramento. And would it surprise you, like you said, JT, if the Kings are up, I don't know, 90-55 in the third quarter, and what does Ty Lue do? Mess around with the minutes and say, all right, time to pull Russell Westbrook, let Bones Highland go in there, see what he can do. Because you know why? The Clippers are 0-4 since Russell Westbrook starting. This shit ain't working. It's not going to work. You ain't winning a title. Sorry, Boss Bro in the chat. The Clippers are not fine. Maybe they mess around with Bones Highland and see if they can kind of capture his ceiling. Maybe they just say, hey, let's let Bones go in there. Second night of a back-to-back. Again, it's a 10-game slate. Do we need to load the boat on the Clippers on a 10-game slate on the second night of a back-to-back with Ty Lue as the coach?
No.
Exactly.
No. Clippers on a back-to-back when your value pieces that are popping are Nick Batum and Bones Highland, excuse me.
Holland season.
Not very enticing. Not very enticing.
Yeah, and Al says in the chat, this has nothing to do with Westbrook. Here's the thing, Al. They could the blowout is real in this game. I am going to temper my expectations with the Clippers tonight. I am going to be cautious with them. I think they are a DFS team to be nervous about tonight. Are they popping in projections a little bit? Yes, slightly. But I think there are better plays. And Bossbro keeps saying the Clippers are fine. They're not fine. And I mean, I can't wait to hear you take your L in 2 months. Or actually, you probably won't take your L. You'll probably just say, oh, you'll move on to some other terrible topic. But the Clippers are not fine. They're in trouble. And I mean, Bones Highland could be a phenomenal play tonight, right? But you have to take that gamble. And is that gamble worth it on this slate? I just think there's a lot more uncertainty here with this situation than people are realizing. Like, why not just play these really good Pelicans? Why not play some other good values earlier on? There's some good games to target. Why not target Portland and Atlanta? Why do we have to target Clippers Kings? I mean, yes, it was that game that was super high scoring, but I'm very nervous about this one.
All right, well then, let's go on to a game hopefully you're not as nervous about. Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Lakers. The Lakers have been so good to us lately, especially the value. Just kidding. They've actually been fucking terrible. But one of my favorite, well, actually, maybe two of my favorite spin-ups, top 5 favorite spin-ups are on this one. So, JT, the Lakers have been so bad to us. Will it stop tonight? Are we going back to Vanderbilt and hoping that he's not 50% owned and just absolute bust again? What are we doing? And you're on mute again. This show is a disaster, fellas. I am sorry to everyone. It's obviously my fault. I'm trash host. So
that's on me, just doing this from the road, right? But I think Clippers being safe, Jesus. So no, Vanderbilt's priced up. I mean, Beasley's popping a little bit, but he's priced up. I think people are going to want to play Anthony Davis, and I think he's okay. But he hasn't been a lock here in these situations without LeBron. So I think Dennis Schroeder is interesting a little bit at Holden giving us a like out of pity at 5,800. On the other side here, I think Anthony Edwards is interesting. I think Dusty Mike Conley at 5,500 is interesting. And man, centers have been just destroying this Lakers team. So Rudy Gobert, 7,400. It's not the sexiest play. Certainly not even one of my favorite plays, but because like we talked about, there are some cheaper centers here, but I don't mind a little bit of him. And then Jaden McDaniels is 4,400 I like that price a little bit for a guy who's been playing 33 to 35 minutes in a matchup that's been really good for opposing big men.
Yeah, that's another thing. The Timberwolves defense has been absolutely electric lately. But I just think it would be just so like poetic justice if Vanderbilt and Beasley both priced up now and not so great of a matchup, but it's a revenge game. They somehow get there. I think that would just be honestly hilarious. So wouldn't mind seeing it happen just to troll people. Travis, what do you like?
Yeah, this game is definitely in the conversation today. It's like having some interesting plays. Anthony Davis is a pretty good spend up, but the problem is, again, if you play like Anthony Davis and you play Hernan Gomez, well, then like you got to somewhat build as a lot of people. I don't know if that's the way I want to go today. I like Hernan Gomez way more than Anthony Davis. If I had to pick one center, that would probably be the guy. I do think Anthony Davis is a good spend, but not someone I'm prioritizing for sure. As much as I like to give Rudy Gobert some crap, right? He is a good center down low, so that could slow Davis down a bit, but also give him some open threes where he could get hot from downtown and really rack up the scoring. But overall, Anthony Davis is a good play, but I'm thinking about how I play him versus some of these other studs because I just don't know if that's how I want to use my center position. I talked about Wendell Carter Jr. earlier. I talked about Clint Capella earlier. There are some really good center plays on this slate for a little bit cheaper. But yeah, if we talk about the Lakers, Dennis Schroeder at his price, I think he's a pretty interesting play at 5.8K. We know what his upside can be. I don't mind going to him as an option. Vanderbilt's been priced up. Malik Beasley's been priced up. Malik's a little points dependent. That's one of my concerns there. I could see some of these options getting in there. They're just kind of sprinkle plays for me more. So I'm not as excited about Ant Edwards, but I understand why JT could be excited about him. Just I know he's going to be lower owned. And at least within that lower ownership, he can break a slate, right? He's a very points dependent player at times, which can be frustrating, but Ant's not on my radar, at least today. And none of these other Timberwolves are. I think I'm just kind of passing on these Timberwolves and really considering just some of these Lakers plays overall.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of hard to like have a play you are in love with as far as not just saying I love Davis or Edwards, which I'm agree with that. But as far as every other piece, it's kind of hard to fall in love with them. Maybe just guys you sprinkle in your pool. But guys, I think that is all we have for today. Did we get enough likes for the play of the days? Like I said, guys, if you want that good mojo tonight, go hit that like button. Help us out. Hit subscribe. If you're not in the Discord, it's just crucial. It takes your game to the next step, getting the breaking news. All our guys are in the chat, breaking it down, who this affects, who it hurts, all that shit. It's so crucial. And, I mean, you get all sports one price. Going into the NASCAR started. We got PGA going. I mean, everything. Some people play. I do EuroLeague. It's not that big. Some people come play. They'll play off their sub in 1 month, playing EuroLeague, which they've never heard of in their life. All sports one price. Come join it. Let's do the plays of the day. I don't have the button, so Travis, you're going to dictate who the hell goes first. I want to be last, though.
All right, you want to be last, then let's go with me first, just because I feel like I know my play of the day pretty well. But I was asking, will Big T be there? Big T is always there. So be sure to check him out on the upcoming show, the Up the Lock Show with JSU. But my play of the day is coming up. Post the graphic now. We're heading over to a brand new coach where maybe a little more motivation, maybe some minutes being gained. We'll go with Clint Capella. We'll play him as one of my centers. We'll make him my play of the day. I think he at 5.6K goes for 40 DK points, and that's something I'm interested in. So that'll be my play of the day, Mr. Clint Capella. But next, because Kurt wants to go last, we're going to JTHayes. JT, let's go to the Eiffel Tower, play of the day.
Yeah, I mean, this is wild. I mean, Kurt comes in, he says, I'm going to join you guys on the show, but I have to host. And now he's insisting on going last with the play of the day. So listen, I hope it works out. But, we've got people in chat that aren't happy because we were a little bit choppy today. What do you expect? We got a guest host, and he did a good job, Kurt. But David Roberts, first of all, poor David Roberts. I mean, sorry about your guy, Gavin Lux. Looks like you're going to be one less toy this season out there in Los Angeles. But he says, be happy you guys got one like. You're a shit show today. Love you guys no matter what. We need the plays of the day. And now, David, I don't want to give you the play of the day. But it's not about you. It's about everybody else and the good mojo. Show that sky pick for us, Travis. Get me in the mood again to give some good mojo. There we are. Now I'm feeling it. Now I'm feeling better. We do like that Atlanta-Portland game. As tempted as I am to go back to the godfather of the Eiffel Tower play, I'm going to go to someone else. A little bit of a down game last time out, but I think they're going to bounce back. DeJounte Murray is the Eiffel Tower play of the day.
Ooh. I like that. That's spicy. All right.
All right, well, you're up
I'm ready
next,
for mine. I'm
Kurt.
ready,
And
Trevor.
while you give your play of
I'm
the
ready.
day, we do not have a Kurt
not on
play
there?
of the day graphic in here. So because of that, we are using.
I'm literally on the show tomorrow, and they have one for me. That's horrible.
Well, I don't know. Helmet has the C-Dome one in, so you're the Kurt's
Put me out.
carbonated.
I'll be C-Dome. I'll be the Equate version C-Dome.
Yep, you're like the poor man's C-Dome, right?
Yeah.
That's what we got. So
The good
we got
version.
the poor man's carbonated wine play of the day from Kurt. What do we got here, Kurt?
Oh my God, that's glorious. All right, we're going Trey Murphy. This is March, the Virginia legend, his 1 year, 2 years there. I think these long wings he can shoot. Like Mango's mentioned, Richardson's out. I think the guy gets hot from deep. I think he stuffs the stat sheet tonight for 4K. Trey Murphy. Let's ride.
All right. Well,
All right, guys.
Trey
Trey
Murphy it
Huh?
is. Kurt, I can close the show out. I got a good way to close the show out.
Thank
JT,
God.
first of all, let the people know what they're missing over here at Run Pure Sports, all the fun in the Discord chat, all the good times. Let them know your code and let them know about how great the sky is over here at Run Pure Sports, JT.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, what you're missing is March is the month of the sky, baby. I mean, we are in the sky. We're in the clouds. We're taking those pictures. Thank you, Mr. Patrick Rice, for the love for the sky pick. Thank you to Holden for giving us a like out of sympathy, Holden. That's impressive when the worst host at Run Pure Sports is disappointed in the job that we did. But basically, guys, look, you get all sports for one price. Core plays every day, playbooks every day, Big T's player pool almost every day. JSU puts up a player pool. Every now and then draft sheet. We got baseball season coming back. He'll put up a player pool. So we're going to do actually sometime in the next couple of weeks, we're going to do a nice preview podcast like we did last year for MLB season. You can only get this if you use code JTHayes15. Remember, it's the only code that works. Don't try Bobby's code. Don't try Snyder's code. You'll break an ankle. Don't even worry about Kurt's code because as of today, he may not even be employed here after this performance. But JTHayes15, 15% off your first month's payment. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter as well, at JTHayes Jr. You know why? Because I'm going to give you some sky picks all weekend long. And tomorrow, there's going to be sky picks, but they're going to be baseball sky picks.
Oh, baby.
I love to see it. The baseball sky picks will be great. Kurt, what's your final thoughts before we get on out of here?
Man, every time I do the shows, I fall in love with the slate, and it's just, I don't know. I always do great when I'm on shows. It's like my good juju. It started way back when I was in the first with Glock and AP. I called out some Bay, and he made 10 threes or some bullshit. And ever since then, I've had good luck on shows. So I think it's going to be a great slate for everyone and all of you who like to hit the like button. I mean, I gave you out the secret sauce, so we're going to do great tonight. I'm excited for it. And then we're going to leave right back into tomorrow. I'll be on the show again. It's not going to be as big of a shit show. I promise. So good luck, everyone. Travis, what you got?
All right, well, I'm just going to get us out of here. Very simple. Be sure to check out the Up to Lock show coming up with JSU and his crappy internet, coming up with Big T, Holden as well, giving you, pity likes. Should be a good time. Be sure to check out the Up to Lock show. Got a long slate for you. Tons of winners. Be sure to check out all the content over here at Run Pure Sports. But for me, JT Hayes, Mangone, and Kurt, we'll see you guys later.